What I'm going to talk about here is color correction. As you guys have probably seen on the internet, you can go through 2 to 4 hour videos on color correction and how things work. So I'm not going to try and go that deep into it. But I do want to show you the tools we have and how those tools work so that you're armed with being able to do what's necessary. Now, one of the things that we always worry about is white balance, correct? I mean, I know that as shooters, everybody white balances. Everybody white balances. Sometimes the camera malfunctions and it isn't quite white balanced the way that we want to be able to have it. Now, this is one of the most powerful tools inside of Edius. So I'm going to come up here and once again under video filters and then color correction. I've got my 3-way color correction. Now, 3-way color correction changed in 6 to this name. Up to this point, this was what was called the white balance filter. And I'm just going to pull it down on this clip right here that I've got up on the screen. And once again, you see it show up in the information window, and I'm going to go ahead and double click on it to bring it up. Now you can see here that I've got black, gray, and white balance, hence the name now of 3-way color correction. Notice here also that it's very, very big on the screen. It's partly because of my real estate that I have here. But you have the same keyframer. You still have the same ability to be able to open things up, to be able to work on things on a very minute level. So like I said, you could very much go into this and tweak it with a keyframer just absolutely incredibly. Now, I can also do a color picker. I can sit there and say I want to look for black and then go pick on black. I could say gray and then pick on gray and then white and do all those separately if I wanted to, or, which is kind of new, is color range. However, I'm going to sit there and select auto. And I want you to notice up here on my color wheels up here how it changes when I go into this shot. Because if I select auto, and then I'm going to go to something like right here, and I'm going to select it, notice my gray balance has changed completely and totally. And believe it or not, that is much closer to the actual color. Now, I'm going to do the same thing that I did with stabilization and give you a side-by-side view on that. And you can kind of see the blue hue all the way through this because obviously it wasn't white balanced when it was shot. But by going in and picking auto and then picking something of a gray color, it automatically picked it. Now, if I was going to come down and also say I want something that's black and I'm going to pick that black right there, you'll see that that just barely moved. And the reason being is because the gray balance kind of already went in there and changed everything. But I could also go into white if I wanted to go into white. And I really don't have a lot of white here. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure I have any white here, but I'll just pick this in the background. Anyway, and as you can see, even picking that, it really didn't move at all, just barely, because of the fact that doing the auto had already really brought it in. So basically, the 3-way color correction, auto isn't perfect, but it really can get you started very, very well. Once again, I could keyframe this just in the same way that I keyframed the layouter that I did there, but I really don't need to do that. And I'm going to come in here and just show the total preview again. And I could go back to the defaults on these if I wanted to, and you can watch how it'll change. If I kind of sit there and start moving things around, you would see that some real definite changes could come in here, and I could really go in there and tweak this completely and totally, either with the color wheel. I can bring up saturation, bring down contrast, and so I could get really artsy using this 3-way color correction, and that's where my keyframer would come in more than anything. But once again, because I have it on auto, I'm just going to pick that gray right there and have it come in and really pull the colors back in there. In fact, let me go back to default on these. And then once again, go on with my auto and just pick that bad boy out right there. And now I have my shot really where I want it to have. What's wonderful about this, and I apologize for covering everything up here, but now that I've done this shot right here, I do have another shot a little bit further down that has that same blue hue in it. Now, I don't have to go into the 3-way color corrector if I don't want to, because I can actually pull the one from the last one without creating a preset, pull it onto that shot, and now I have that shot looking the same right there. And so basically, I could go into similar shots and be able to use that color correction or that filter that I just got through using on one that was very, very similar to it and pull it down on one or several shots and be able to do that. The reason I wouldn't create this into a user preset is because of the fact if I was in a big, long 1 hour or 2 hour project, yes, and I had tons of similar shots, I would create a preset. But when I've only got 1 or 2 other shots, it's just much quicker for me to be able to go in and grab it straight here out of the information window and place it in. So basically right there is what we're looking at on the three-way color correction. Some of the other tools that we do have, however, let's pick this shot right here. I also have my color wheel, and I'm just going to bring it down on this shot so you can see it. And the color wheel will allow me to go in and change brightness, change contrast to a certain amount, and then to come in and change saturation, I just pull out right here, and then to change kind of my color scheme, I can move it around. And so basically, if I go in a half and half on this, well, you know what? Let me do the other half there because it'll look a whole lot better. You can see the drastic differences that you have right here, and you can work it right here with the color wheel. Once again, it has the exact same keyframer. The next tool, and let me go ahead and get rid of the color wheel here, and I can do that by right-clicking and deleting, or I can drag it right up here. But my next tool inside of my color correction is color balance, and I'll bring it down on the same. And color balance is not a ton different than the color wheel is. It's just a different way of working. If I do the half and half here again and then start to crank my colors, I just have more control, to be perfectly honest with you, because of the fact that now I can go in and I can set numeric values if I want to. I have the slider bars here. My brightness can be brought up. My chroma value can be pulled out. My contrast can be changed right there. And I can have a really nice look here. And I can go into safe colors if I need to go into safe colors just to make sure that I'm going out broadcast-wise, that I'm not going too far out of the world here. But as you can see, I have control, complete and total control here also. To me, I like color balance a little better than the color wheel just because of the fact that I have more of a numerical way of working with my brightness, contrast, and saturation and whatnot. And so that's how the color balance works. I have another tool in here, and I'll go ahead and put it on here just so you see it. It's just monotone. It creates a black and white situation. Now that I have two things down here, I do want you to be able to see that if I'm working on several different filters right here inside the information window, if I want to get rid of monotone and work on another filter, if I've tweaked it, all I have to do is uncheck it. And so if I've done changes to it and kind of tweaked it a little bit, and I don't want to sit there and have to delete it just to work on another filter on the shot without seeing that one, and then have to re-bring it back in and retweak it again or create a user preset with it, I just uncheck it. And once I uncheck it, it's no longer shown. I can work on my other filters that I have in there. And then when I'm ready to turn it back on again, of course, I can just sit there and do that. And I'm going to show that to you in a little bit different way in a few moments when we talk about combining them. The last one inside of this, and you see there's a lot of system presets already sitting in here, is the YUV curve. The YUV curve, of course, and I'll just pull it back over here on the clip, shows up in the information window. And the YUV curve here just gives me the ability to be able to work with these three different adjustments. And while I'm working with those adjustments, I could come in and either do spline or linear to make it a very, very drastic change instead of having it just kind of spline up to it. But if I want to go in and tweak something and I sit there and I get to the very top and I want to be able to bring the levels off just at the very top of it and I sit there and say linear, then I could leave everything basically the same and then just be able to tweak a high and a low. Now, once again, like all the rest of the filters, you can come in here and do some very interesting things with it. You know, you can add all sorts of different type things in here and be able to pull it down and through and be able to work in different ways to be able to get all sorts of different looks. You do have the safe color, and if I go into my half and half here, you can see the difference between what I've been able to do here. So it's just, once again, a basic different way of working with your color, and it has the same basic keyframer as the other ones have. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel on this one. These are the tools that you have inside of your color correction that allow you to be able to go in and really tweak the color. And they're very powerful tools. They allow you to get the job done quickly and efficiently and make your video look great.